Today we're going to use a technique that's much like the blending, but instead it's called layering. And really it's going to be in a matter of how we use the brush. I recorded this just kind of show you to remind you to plan before you start your rock. A lot of times that's a lot of help. Before you start, it allows you to think about all the things that you're going to need. So once you plan, you can lay out the colors that you're going to do. And I'm going to start by doing the water, a darker color there. But notice how the brush really is more not necessarily doing smooth strokes, but kind of doing a blotting action. So it kind of blots. Once I put the first layer down, I'm then going to blot the second and just kind of keep blotting to make it blend in with the first. Now you can't see it as well, but that there is a distinct color between the differences of the blue. But to add a little bit extra, I added some white as well because I wanted the water to lighten up a little. So again, I just blotted it up on top. So then I'm going to go ahead and do the sunset. Again, I'll put my colors on my palette. And then start with the lightest color always. So I'm going to go ahead and put the light yellow all the way across. Not necessarily just in the area that I need it, but the light color you're going to want on the bottom is kind of almost a base coat all the way. Again, you'll notice I'm not smoothing the brush out. I'm blotting it so that there is texture within the paint. After I do the yellow, I'm then going to add where I want the orange. Because it's a darker color, I want to keep it just in that area. And then I'll add the red on top. You'll then notice once I have those colors added, I can then blot over each of them as they continue to blend, and it really is a matter of layering the yellow on top of the orange, on top of the red, on top of the orange. It's actually a really great, easy way to do the blending because you can always blot or add another layer of color if you need to. So this was kind of the start of my sunset. Very different because of the texture than I did yesterday, but it was nice because I still had the basis of what colors I wanted. So that's what it looks like. Again, you can kind of see the texture. It won't be smooth. It'll be a textured, kind of a bumpy feel to it after it dries. It will take much longer to dry though. After it's dry, you then can add your words or a picture on top of it. Now I really like to go sailing, so that's the other reason I did the sunset, because I remembered that I really wanted to do a rock with a sunset in a sailboat. Now I tried doing a sailboat, you'll see my picture there, and I couldn't quite get it. So I then took out Google Images, and again I did a plan. I practiced on the side of my paper, so that way I had something to look at while I was doing it. I'm definitely somebody who needs the visual. I can't always see it in my head as well as I would like to. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out my plan on what I'm going to do. And because the colors below are lighter, I'm going to need to use a very dark color for the top. Notice how my brush is sideways. And that's one thing you can do. It's a nice easy way to make a line. If you start from the line and pull in, so I started there and then I kind of pull in to the middle. That's a nice way to get a straight line going. So again, I'm going to use the top tip of my brush. You can't see it very well because my hand's in the way. But again, I'm going to use the tip of my brush to get that line on the outside, and then I will fill in. It does take a lot of patience. It looks like it's going really quick, but I will tell you that this video, I then put in fast speed. The video just for this drawing of the sailboat took about 15-16 minutes. So it really does take me a while. I enjoy it though. That's part of what I love about painting, is I really kind of get lost in myself as I am doing the painting. So then you'll notice I ended up getting frustrated because my brush was too big. So I took the pencil and I just used that as a tip, and that's always something you can do. Think about other things that are in your house. Toothpicks, maybe there's a nail, pencils, pens, and a little bit here too. I will actually add the sun in the background But a sun, as it's rounded, is really hard to do with a brush. So what I decided to do instead, you'll see I kind of started it and then I didn't like it. And I thought, you know, I can do the back of the brush. So now I use the back tip, and that's how I ended up doing my sun. So as you continue to do these rocks, think outside the box. What kinds of textures can you add? How can you add some blending? And what other tools can you use besides just a regular toothbrush? I'm sorry, paintbrush. I guess you could use a toothbrush too, couldn't you? But regular paintbrush. Here, like I said, I just finished up the sun with the end of the paintbrush. That gave me a nice ability to layer. One other thing I will say is with this layering, it is very difficult to just do marker on top of layering. So that's why I had to do the black paint first. However, anytime you're doing paint, it's always great to outline it if you have a marker that's the same color. Otherwise, black in general is just a great outlining color. It really kind of makes your object or your word pop. And I do apologize because I know that the pack that you got, I thought there was a black in there, but apparently there's only a gray. So there wasn't a black. So hopefully many of you guys would have a black Sharpie at home that you could use. Or you can go ahead and use the gray as well. So as I finish up the sailboat, you can't necessarily see it, but I know I was very pleased with the way that the marker was able to just really define those lines. So it wasn't so pointy, I guess, on the outside. It became nice and smooth. And there it is, my sailboat.